When I worked as a bouncer for 4 years, I got to meet a lot of customers. From my experience, I can tell you that if you wait for men to approach you and make the first move, you attract a specific type of person who is probably looking at you in a specific way. This is something I noticed when I interacted with a lot of customers. After a long day of work, a lot of the good-looking men I knew would head to the bar to relax with a beverage and catch up with their pals for a while. In addition to that, are you aware of what? They avoided interacting with other people, which contributed to their sense of isolation. They did not come across as offensive to the ladies. There were a lot of seedy men that I knew that visited the pub, and they angered the women to the point where I had to occasionally kick them out of the bar because the ladies were becoming so upset. But you know what? They were being pushy in their search for sexual partners, they were flirting with the ladies, and there is no question in my mind that they broke the hearts of more than a few of those who were interested in them. I'm unable to stop it from happening, but I've seen it a lot throughout the years. I was able to identify the positive aspects of the situation. There are a number of guys milling about in the area by themselves, and I am here too. Every one of the good guys has been eliminated. This is a somewhat tiny sample size, so the picture that it paints is not entirely accurate, yet it is more information than the vast majority of individuals have ever had. Then why make the effort? Ladies, if you like a person, think he has a decent appearance, and believe that it appears as though he is definitely a good catch, it may be time to start making advances toward him. He is either a really hard worker or a very generous person, but in either case, he is always engaged in some enjoyable activity. Don't be afraid to ask him out on a date. Asking her for her phone number will get you his. It would appear that we are in the midst of an unusual transitional time right now. Where are all the males who are doing the right thing right now? It's possible that I'll be a nuisance to you at some point, and the thought gives me the willies. I would rather not cause any trouble. You do realize that virtually all of the bad guys are after you, right? Those individuals who aren't interested in making a long-term commitment to you but rather merely want to have sexual relations with you. A subjective viewpoint, of course, I am generalizing, and not everyone else will agree with me. The men who are conversing between themselves quietly at the bar are not necessarily of higher quality than the ones who are coming up to talk to you. I hope you have a pleasant and fruitful journey. What would it even accomplish for them to have one? How did they get there? The idea that we share mental space and that guys may do this for each other whenever they want to without feeling obligated is what drives guys more than anything else. In today's world, it is possible for kids to satisfy that need while still retaining their independence and participating in any other activities they select. We no longer place a high value on being transparent about the decisions we make and the things we do together. These days, we appear to consider it more as a chore, and the majority of couples continue doing it even after the initial glimmer of romance has dimmed. They do not want to put in the effort that is required to love someone permanently, and because the emotion of love is so transitory, they have given up on even attempting to do so. From what I can tell, everyone in this room is a male. Being totally forthright and honest in point of fact, a new pattern is beginning to emerge. A number of men are simply giving up on the whole concept of dating entirely. There is not the slightest bit of interest on their behalf to engage in conversation with girls. It should come as no surprise that today's men are less interested in entering into romantic engagements. Men have a lot of valid reasons to feel this way given the current state of the world and the character flaws that are becoming more prevalent among today's women. It makes perfect sense for men to ignore women and pursue the mgt lifestyle. To tell you the truth, the decline of the dating scene may be directly attributed to the feminist movement. Uncertainty is the primary and most important factor to consider. The globe has gone through a period of profound transformation over the course of the last several decades. It was expected of women to take care of the household and the children, while men were supposed to provide for their families in terms of both finances and their physical well-being. The world has reached a point where there is just too much unpredictability. More and more women are entering the workforce to demonstrate that they are capable of being self-sufficient and powerful, as this is something that our culture pushes them to accomplish. Traditional relationships between women are increasingly uncommon, and the majority of women aren't even sure what they want. Trap the man in an infinite loop of trouble. It is up to the guy to try to work through the relationship and comprehend his own behaviors while he is left in a state of bewilderment and doubt. Incorrect this time by introducing changes to the biological system. The imposition of roles was another factor that worked to weaken the inherent power of relationships. The external environment puts pressure on humans to live in a manner that is incompatible with their inherent biological makeup. To put it another way, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want the man to have the opportunity to earn money while also helping out around the house, so they want to set up a job-sharing arrangement. They don't mention the fact that guys are often the ones who put forth the greatest effort, but that's the case most of the time. The only thing that women want to do is work for 4 hours at some artsy-fartsy job where they complain the whole time and then refuse to cook for their fatigued partners when they get home. Men, on the other hand, throw their whole selves into the work that they do all day long. Because the only advantage of being in a relationship is having ready access to intimacy, the way in which people live their lives together is becoming increasingly chaotic as a result. If it is likely to become boring in a short amount of time, then the price is not at all attractive. A close second is the reality that contemporary partnerships are unable to satisfy the needs and wants of men. A man does not want to have to put in the most effort to locate and maintain the female who is worth the most. It is more convenient for him to go to locations where he can get most of what he wants with the least amount of work. Finding Mr. or Mrs. Right isn't as much of a focus for guys as it is for women, but that doesn't mean it's not important. They decide to forego that strategy and look into other options instead. Someone who doesn't want to settle for second best would talk to more than one of the women that are interested in him. He should realize that modern women have excessive expectations of their own worth rather than waste time and energy on pursuing a beautiful woman who has no interest in him. Instead of doing this, he should realize that he is wasting his time. It would appear that a significant number of women go through life under the impression that they are destined to be supermodels just because they were born female. A connection is having trouble continuing to exist. Because of this, it is very evident that modern men just do not take joy in being in committed love relationships. At the moment, every man's story revolves around the same fundamental plot point, which is as follows. He asks a girl out on a date with the intention of taking things to the next level, and she eventually does, but then she breaks down in tears about how she can't commit to him. He asks another girl out on a date with the intention of taking things to the next level, and she eventually does. He isn't even making an effort, despite the fact that other men are doing this and that for her. It turns out that she spends her days doing nothing but checking out men doing strange things for women on her phone, men who most likely have more free time and disposable income than she does. Moreover, it appears that she spends her days doing nothing but checking out men doing strange things for women. Hollywood has sold women on an image of marriage that very few men are able to maintain, but this ideal has become widespread among women. We are truly sorry, but we do not have the financial means to treat you to an upscale Italian supper and a bottle of wine every single night. It is not always possible to lavish you with flowers and compliments. Because of the nature of my work schedule, my wife and I are unable to take lengthy excursions across the country every single day of the month. She doesn't look anything like Margaret Robbie or any other actress, but for some reason women want a Brad Pitt lookalike to take them out and pamper them all day. She's got nothing in common with either of them. For as long as I can remember, I've had the belief that if a man is willing to go to such lengths for a woman, there must be something really special about that lady for him to do so. In the event that things don't change, I'm leaving, and that sums up the entire issue. Men who are in committed relationships frequently report feeling as though they are constantly on the move. While they are nice, they frequently express a desire to return home. If she were to offer you a kiss instead of unloading her present list of complaints on you, I can guarantee that she would be in a much more pleasant mood. The men have had enough, and they are too exhausted to continue battling against this. Men are leaving relationships because they don't want to deal with women who don't appear willing to change, and they don't want to have to deal with it. Men in today's society are increasingly avoiding committed relationships because of the mental, physical, and emotional toll they take on them. They put in long hours at work to cultivate relationships with coworkers and other people. Even when they make an attempt to build a family and provide for their children, they still run the risk of getting a divorce. Can get married to the person they love, but then find out that their partner has been unfaithful to them, which damages their sense of self-worth. On top of that, there's always the chance that their partner will file for divorce and take half of their assets. Beyond the reach of their eyes, it is not out of the question for folks to give up what they have labored for. The former couple is left to lament their misfortune after going through a divorce and losing everything they own together. In the perspective of their friends and family, they are cast in the role of the antagonist, and their perception of their own value decreases, all while women find love and achieve success. One more reason why men don't want to be in relationships is that modern women are always looking into other opportunities, which is another reason why guys don't want to be in partnerships. Studies show that women are the most unfaithful gender and are twice as likely to cheat on men than men are to cheat on women. This is despite the notion that many current publications on dishonesty imply that males cheat more than women. This is just made-up information.